Brian Thomas is having a breakout season, and that is huge for LSU football. In the summer, we talked a little bit about how I think the Tigers need to find that second receiving option to really unlock and expand this offense to what it's doing right now. And as we talked about on Tuesday, to me, this offense, at least right now, unstoppable. They're putting up over 500 yards, passing for over 340, running for 150 more. They're attacking defenses in pretty much every way you possibly can that's legal in the game of football. And Brian Thomas has a lot to do with that. I talked in the summer, who's going to be the wide receiver 2? LSU didn't have one last year. It was Malik Neighbors, and then it was everybody else. You'd walk into Tiger Stadium or wherever LSU was playing, you're like, man, I know Malik Neighbors is going to have a good game, but who else is going to be catching passes? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. And maybe it was Jere Jenkins. Maybe it was John Emery. Maybe it was Mason Taylor. You just didn't know who you were going to get it from. And you'd rather have the confidence and the belief in a guy that each and every Saturday he's going to suit up, put his helmet on, and give you at least 70 yards receiving. And so far, Brian Thomas has done that. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why we've seen this massive improvement from LSU on the offensive side. So in 2021, Thomas went, he had 28 receptions, 359 yards, 2 touchdowns. Cool. I'm going to give you some stats. I gave you that one. There's a couple more stats I want to give you here. I want to contextualize it all, though. In 2021, Thomas averaged about 2 catches per game, 30 receiving yards per game. Last year, 2022, really similar numbers. The ones that matter, though, again, 2 receptions per game, and he had less receiving yards per game last year than he did 2 years ago, actually. So he put up really similar numbers between 2021, 2022. Like 30 catches, 350 receiving yards, a couple of touchdowns. And when you dive into those numbers, you'll see that a lot of those big stats that got him up to 300 came in games against inferior competition when LSU was just trotting the 2s and 3s out. It's been different this year. He is a different receiver. He's a different asset for this offense this year. Here's what he's done so far. 25 receptions, 413 yards, 5 touchdowns. So he's matched last year's touchdown total, and we've only played 4 games so far this season. He's already surpassed what he did from a receiving standpoint last year with 413 yards, and he's almost got the amount of catches. Here's the stats that matter, though. I talked about him having maybe 2 catches per game before and 30 yards in a game, Saturday to Saturday. Here's what he's doing right now. Over 6 catches per game on average, and over 100 yards per game on average through the air. That is massive. That is true wide receiver 2 production right there, because Malik Neighbors is going for 100 each and every game. He's getting a lot of targets, but then Thomas is right there too, and it's not like, I guess I got to throw it to Thomas. No, I mean, sometimes he is the guy that is open on the play, on the slot fades. He's gotten open there a couple of times, and Daniels has looked his way and only his way and thrown him the football. So he's been critical for this offense, especially in that Arkansas game. He stepped up big. I mean, he had a couple of big catches, that touchdown in the second half on that free play that Daniels kind of underthrew, and Thomas came back and grabbed it. That was spectacular. And what's important to me is that it's been consistent. So he went, 7 for 142 against Florida State, 6 for 78 against Grambling State, 7 catches for 60 yards against Mississippi State, and then 5 receptions for 133 yards against Arkansas. So it's not like he got all of his yards against Grambling State or in garbage time against Florida State. No, he's continued to be like a genuine important piece of this offense every week, like someone they're game planning to use to attack defenses with. So how has this helped the offense? Well, it's opened up the passing game even more. It's giving Jaden Daniels more people to throw to besides Malik Neighbors, because if you've got one receiver that you can only rely on, defenses can stop that or at least contain it. They'll put their lockdown corner on him, and they'll put a safety over the top as well to help out. Well, Neighbors is getting all of that. He's getting the best corner. He's getting the safety as well, which means Thomas is getting the one-on-one. And Daniels and Thomas together are taking advantage of that and exposing defenses. Like, hey, you actually got to respect me this year because I'm going to make plays on you. And he's done that so far. He deserves that respect. And then from a running standpoint, it's opened up that box more because now you've got two great receivers. You got to put two safeties back there because Neighbors might need one and Thomas might need one as well, which means there's less guys in the box. So the run game's opening up. Logan Diggs, he's finding some holes. That offensive line is having the ability to create those holes because it's 5-on-5, 5-on-6, 6-on-6 in the box. It's just hat for a hat. It's favorable football. So I think Brian Thomas might be the X factor for LSU's offense this year. He has been so far, and I think in this weekend's game, even against Ole Miss, if he can continue to produce the way he's produced, it's going to open up that run game for Diggs, for Emery, for Williams, and Jaden Daniels as well, because his legs were a big factor in this game last year. So you've got your wide receiver 2 this year. It's been great through 4 games. Now, can Brian Thomas continue to produce on that level? And can you get an Aaron Anderson, a Chris Hilton, maybe a Mason Taylor more involved as well? Then you can take this offense from here, which is really high, to here, out of the screen, out of the picture, to just new heights. So I've been really impressed with Brian Thomas so far this year. He's just absolutely rewriting his career highs, having his best college football season, and I'm excited to see if it continues, because if it does, I think it just makes this offense even more dangerous and makes me even more confident in my prediction that this team will win the SEC West.